What is something you enjoyed as a kid, but hate as an adult? Receiving a letter. Now it's just bill/taxes/trash. Receiving mail as a child was exciting. On the contrary. Today I spent an hour going through a stack of mail that I let pile up. And shredding about 98% of it. Actually, I now look forward to getting my mail again. The secret is having it delivered by our 3-5-year-old granddaughter. She loves delivering mail. Mostly it's stuff like Costco flyers. But she literally skips down the path to my office with the mail held high. She peeks through the door and says, "Mail." And then giggles. Unfortunately, I may have to report her to the USPS Inspector General because sometimes she delivers it to our cat Daisy, who mostly just sleeps on the chair on my office deck. Write a letter and address it to Daisy and then put it in your mailbox. I bet you she'll go nuts. I'm gonna do it. Maybe throw some catnip in there for extra kitty purrs. Thanks for the idea. Spinning in a circle until I'm so dizzy I fall down. Super fun as a child. Great way to feel terrible and possibly get a concussion now. Plus swing sets, for me. I was swinging yesterday at the park with my kids, tried to slow the swing down and ended up spraining my ankle, resulting in a doctor's visits and x-rays. LOL. Welcome to your 30s. Most of the movies I liked when I was a kid don't hold up as an adult. I've stopped revisiting them so I don't spoil the good memories. Blank check just made me angry as an adult. That kid was an entitled prick. Also, that mansion costing $300,000 is depressing now. That was never realistic. How did you spend $1 million in a week? Even as a kid I thought that was dumb question. Still loved it though. Getting older. I'm getting too old for this shit. Diplomatic immunity. It's just been revoked. Neck crick rack focus pow. My birthday. It's not that I hate it. It's just that I don't care about it anymore. Same. I also don't care about getting presents. I only do something for myself because my kids get mortified at the thought of me not doing something. Jumping down 3 to 4 steps at a time. My knees won't put up with that nonsense now. Holy shit. I used to jump entire flights of stairs for shits and giggles in high school. Do it again. Recapture old glory. More like rupture old glory. Land of Nope and Floor Y coming up. Having no job. I still like having no job. What I don't like is having no money. At the end of the day all I want to do is sleep. Eat. Maybe read a nice book. I have never wanted to be super rich or successful or anything. I don't even want kids. Are you me? This is what I want. There are dozens of us. Dozens. Being outside when it's cold. When I was little, I could play outside in the snow for hours and not even be the faintest bit of cold. Now I can't even stand being outside during winter for a few minutes. Young children have a high percent of brown fat which burns hyper quickly, allowing the body to warm itself extremely efficiently in response to cold. More similar to wild animals. Adults have very little brown fat. Homo sapien adults are geared for low amounts of slow-burning yellow fat for sustained energy. This gives babies, who would otherwise be very vulnerable in the winter, a tremendous survival leg up. Can you grow brown fat? I'm sick of my stupid slow-burning yellow fat. I'm Puerto Rican and chubby. I grow brown fat all the time. Genuinely lolled. Talking about politics. It used to make me feel smart and grown up. Now I just get angry and exhausted. Fuck yes. It is almost always a shitfest and you just can't make a sensible conclusion. There is a reason that people are not in one political boat after all. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. If I say I'm pro Second Amendment, they wanna box me in with the Republicans. I'm not a Republican. If I say I'm pro universal health care, they wanna box me in with the progressives. I'm not a progressive. I like what I like. There's no party for me in America. I think if someone buys hook, line and sinker into one political party, and everything they do and say, they're complete idiots and not even trying to think rationally about any of the issues. What annoys me the most are people who categorize in broad strokes e.g. all Democrats are stupid SJWs or all Republicans are backwards rednecks. Those are the least likely to listen to reason. Sadly, the holiday season. I now see why my parents seemed exasperated when I complained when decorations weren't up post-Thanksgiving, or why they seemed so much more stressed than I ever even considered being. School would end. I would get to chill, and it was the holidays and was so magical. Now I get it. With a job that doesn't stop for the holidays, it sneaks up on you and you barely get time as an adult to process all the activities before it's like December 23rd and it's all flown by. I can never seem to find time to do my Christmas shopping or decorating. The holidays completely stress me out now, and as a kid I thought it was the best time of the year. I stopped doing presents for anyone other than my partner, and we mostly do experience gifts now instead of physical gifts. It's way better this way. Moving house. I loved packing, choosing a new room, exploring a new neighborhood. I'd moved 20 times by the time I turned 18. I'm moving out of my first flat now, and it is the worst. Mum never warned me about the billion calls and contracts and credit scores and references and moving companies and just the general stress of moving out. I hate it. It's the worst. 20 times. Why? Mum had to move a lot because of her job. Mix that in with the fact she gets antsy and wants to move every 6 months, and the number just kept going up. I've stayed in my current flat for 2 years, and that's the longest I've ever stayed in one place. Wow, man. I've only moved 2 times in 36 years. Moving is hell to me. And so expensive. Yeah. Kid me liked it, but adult me definitely agrees it is shite. Especially in the middle of lockdown. Going to the mall. I used to like browsing stores. But now I just want to get what I need and go. Part of it is the mall's fault for me. When I was younger, the mall was a bit more varied. You had your toy store, your game store, your arcade, sharper image, discovery store, candy store, etc. Now I go to the mall and it's the food court and endless apparel stores. All the more interesting stores have been pushed out of business. Right. I remember when you had interesting kiosks with diverse random merchandise. Now it is just a couple of custom t-shirt makers and 20 kiosks selling Chinese knockoff consoles. Used to have stores that were fun to browse and see what new things they came up with, like the Science Shop, Discovery Store, even Brookstone back when they had cool gadgets. Now it is just food, clothes, GameStop, and Spencer's. Certain 80s sitcoms. Tried watching the original Full House again and just couldn't get past 10 minutes of it. Cheers still works for me. It's my go-to to fall asleep at night. I can still watch reruns of Cheers and Golden Girls and laugh my ass off. But yeah, the sugary family-oriented stuff doesn't hold up well past the initial nostalgia phase that wears off after a few minutes. Staying up all night. As a kid, it was a badge of honor staying up all night long. Going to bed after the sunrise now means that I've worked too much. Sleeping really late as well. As an adult, sleeping late makes me feel like I've wasted a whole day off. Good old times, where you slept from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. Being in bed at 7 p.m. as a kid. Sunlight still shining through the curtains and reading a book till 9 or 10 p.m. Now I've lost all the time for books, and I've certainly no desire to be in bed at 7. Exercise just by playing. I'd skip, pogo, cycle, run around the park, scooter, everything. I just twitched my ankle on the sofa and had a shockwave of pain through my knee like the bones had ground together. I got up to pee last night and my leg just gave way. I miss the energy of childhood. Body, I can create a fully functional human being in 9 months no problem. All the complex systems. Ha! Pace of cake. Creating cock and balls for torture? Of course, me, turns neck around too fast neck, help I can't turn no more. Lunchables. I always told my parents to get me some after seeing the commercials. Looking at it now. Who TF actually thinks this is a decent lunch? It's an overpriced box of cheese and crackers and a Capri Sun. Charcuterie board's the good adult version of a Lunchable. Vienna sausages. My brother and I used to wrestle and fight over who would get the last can. Hadn't had them in ages and was telling my kid about them. So I thought I'd get a can for old time's sake. Could not even choke them down. They are so gross to me now. Are you me? I used to love them. Boasted them to my kid and bought a can. Ew. Even my son didn't like them and he'll eat anything. Gave them to my dog and no lie, she threw them up. LOL, I feel like sadness. I touched a core happy memory and fucked it up. Right? I was like, oh. I can pass on a happy memory to my kid and he just remembers it as the day I attempted to deploy a food weapon at him by having him try one. Maybe they changed the recipe. Christmas. As a kid it was time off school, presents, and seeing my family. As an adult I'm lucky if I get both days off. I stress about finding the right gift for everyone. And I have to see my family. I feel this having worked retail through college. I actively started hating holidays. Work was stupid busy and doesn't want to give time off. School starts handing out midterms and /or final projects. Then I gotta drive 90s to see family. My wife's family. More relatives wanting time for a whole day to drive back 90 minutes because it was the only day off you got. Family is offended because you ate and ran so you could see everyone but spend time with no one, and honestly you could have used the day off to get school work done. It's exhausting. The only time I was ever burnt out on Christmas was when I worked retail. The closing manager that year always made us spend 45 minutes trying to sweep glitter off the brushed concrete floor, not a smooth surface, in the greenhouse where all the Christmas stuff was. Thinking about the future. When I was a kid I imagined in the future I'd be rich and do crazy science stuff like turning the sky green. I thought I'd have a cool job and sports cars and a mansion in Beverly Hills, thanks Weezer. Now when I think about the future, I wonder what the hell to do if I lose my job. About my parents getting old and to a lesser degree. Will I have enough saved to live off in retirement? There's a quote by Marina Keegan that just breaks my heart. I miss dreaming forwards. Anna said. What? I dream backwards now. You won't believe how backwards you'll dream someday. Never understood what she meant when I was a kid. Now that I understand. I wish I didn't. Sometime during college I stopped making new friends. Now all of my friends are the ones from high school I can reminisce with. Hang on to them tight, my dude. My two best friends by far. Had something go down between them, now they haven't seen each other in years. Hurts, man. Getting out of the house. What a time to be alive right now. Getting sweaty in public. I didn't give a shit when I was a kid. Now it annoys the hell out of me. I'm basically a super sweater. It grosses me out to think that I didn't know how damn much I sweat until like late high school. I doubt I was less sweaty when I was younger. I just didn't care. Ravioli in a can. Don't get me wrong. I love ravioli. Just not canned. Frozen isn't too hard to make, it's much better. My grocery store sells fresh made ravioli and tortellini and I spend way too much money on them. The idea of being an adult, lol. I'm just on the verge of adulthood and I'm in a constant mode of oh no. Roller coasters. While I never liked the big ones, I like the small ones okay. But being almost 40 and riding them makes me feel like I might die afterwards. Around age 30, they suddenly made me nauseous. I enjoy them, but feeling pukey for the rest of the day isn't worth it. I can relate, though it happened to me a little earlier. In my mid-20s. Last time I went to an amusement park I took some Dramamine in the parking lot to see if it helped. It did help a fair bit, though I still had to take breaks between coasters. Dude, after taking Dramamine I went on the Star Tours ride at Disneyland and almost cried at how I actually enjoyed a roller coaster style ride for the first time in my life. Signed, someone with crazy motion sickness. Shopping. It's not as fun when it's your hard-earned money being spent on stuff you know you don't need. The weird thing is, sometimes I find myself with a bit of extra cash and think cool. Time for some retail therapy. But I can't think of anything I want or need. I have pretty limited free time. I've got a couple of guitars and a PlayStation 4. I don't dress fancy and I'm not into tricking out my house with gadgets. I just end up stashing the spare money in the bank. Kid me would have kicked me for such a dumb-ass move. Finding bugs in my house. The outside wall of my childhood bedroom had a Boston ivy growing over it. Beautiful in certain seasons. One thing I particularly loved about it was how it would often grow up through the floor in the inside behind my dresser. Now when I think about if that happened to my own house, I feel sick. Goosebumps told me that this likely means that your father is trapped in the basement doing mad scientist plant experiments with evil plant dad doppelgangers. Stay out of the basement. You just gave me a burst of nostalgia. I hope my children get to enjoy Goosebumps books. Running. I used to race my brother everywhere. Just for fun. Now, I'm definitely not running for that bus I could easily catch. I'd rather sit around and wait 30 to 120 minutes for the next one. I'm the opposite. I was the chubby kid at school, so hated running. I'd always finish last. As a cliché fat kid, I grew up to eat healthy and exercise regularly. Running being one of my go-to faves. I'm mid-30s now, and whilst I'm no model, I'm lean and healthy. Awesome. Good for you. I was a fast kid. But then I developed asthma. So while I'm still active in other ways, running is not something I would do except in emergencies. This post just reminds me of this quote from The Office: "I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before you actually left them." Andy. Or Billy Joel. The good old days weren't always good. And tomorrow's not as bad as it seems. Having only $20. Having $20 felt like a king. With the 20, I saw a movie, bought a pizza, then rented a video game with money left over. Simpler times. Sigh. These activities got a double whammy of inflation plus the loss of kid discount prices. Sad face. Staying home on a sick day. As a kid it was a huge victory. Got to stay in bed all day, watch TV, and having a parent tend to your every need. Then as an adult you're just thinking about the work you're gonna have to make up for and how you hope you don't need to go to a doctor. I feel your pain in a different way. I'm a waiter, so a sick day won't result in more work when I get back, but I only get paid for the hours I work. A sick day is a dent in my income.